Hello, my name is Alexandru and I am a Romanian-born seeker of truth, a lifetime student in the Gurdjieff groups all around the world. And I have authored quite a few books on the Gurdjieff teaching, including books describing in detail the practical internal exercises and the famous movements and sacred dances. This channel is about the Enneagram brought by Gurdjieff, to whom we will always be grateful for bringing such a tremendous teaching and sharing it with us. Among my books about the Enneagram, you can see here the cover of Process Coaching with the Enneagram and the cover of the Business Enneagram. I also highly recommend the books written by my friend Adrian Mirel Petrariu, especially his grand opus, The Mythology of the Energy. Among his books on the Enneagram, you can see here the cover of the Gurdjieff Enneagram Origins and the fabulous The Enneagram of Thought. The Enneagram is an instrument to help us to achieve triadic perception and mentation, whereas our ordinary mental processes are linear and sequential. The world in which we live is threefold. This quote by Bennett clearly explains the general meaning of the Enneagram. The symbol consists of a circle representing the law of unity, a six figure, a hexade representing the law of 7, and a triangle representing the law of 3. Today we will continue with our Enneagram, looking at the Kundabuffer and the human centers. This has to do in ideas of Keith Buzzell. So first let's look at what we have done in the previous clip. Recap. So we have started from a certain look at the human centers, the physical, the emotional, and the intellectual, their specific survival triads. And after that, we have seen how each of these centers, each of these brains, has an internal ternary structure of sensory, associative, and motor cortexes, and how this would relate to the higher and lower centers perspective. And we have came with this figure, which we'll use as an Enneagram in the following video in order to speak more about the Kundabuffer and its effect on our daily behavior. Gurdjieff's Kundabuffer, we can consider that illustrating it would be a vertical line from Do until the middle between points 4 and 5 on the Enneagram. So looking at the figure, we can also illustrate the separation of what Gurdjieff calls our ordinary consciousness from the subconsciousness. So now if we look back at our comparison of the centers and each part of the center with this view on the Enneagram, we will have this type of presentation. And we can see now each part of each center, how it develops, how it goes from one to another on the Enneagram. So now that we have this in place, let's see what does it mean. So as you remember, the sensory part of a center is our emotional part, and the motion part of a center is our physical part, and the intellectual part of the center is the associative cortex, as we have said. So now, taking this into consideration, let's see what each of these parts is doing, and we are putting this on the Enneagram now. So we have at Re the intellectual motion, which is a focus, self-affirmation, intention put into motion. We have at Me the physical sensory, that is comfort, discomfort, and instinctive sensation. We have at point 4, Fa, physical motion, that is the reactive self, the formative thinking and the mechanical feeling. We have at point 5 the soul, emotional sensory, that is the creative action and the digestion transformation. We have at point 7 la, emotional motion, that is real emotion and order, pattern, a higher hierarchy. And at C we have intellectual sensory, that is the ultimate aim and the purpose of our life. So at the first do we have the intellectual. At the second do on the right, point number 3 is the physical intellectual part, and at point number 6 on the left side do, the intellectual part of the emotional center. Considering this, the mirror of Kundabuffer, the vertical line, reflects the second part of the Enneagram, and so when we turn this like in the mirror, we'll get this image where the right side of the Enneagram is reversed. And this has to do, of course, with the reversed perception. But we'll speak more of this later. So if we continue on this line, we can now see that the connection between the insight points on the Enneagram has been modified. So now we have a connection from point 8 to point 4, from point 7 to point 2, and from point 5 to point 1. So this will have certain consequences, this rotating the labels on the circle 180 degrees, what Gurdjieff used to call topsy-turvy. So this type of man will mistake his automatic doing or making, which is at point 1, as a truly creative act, which is in fact point 5. He will conclude that his world of experienced sensations, his comfort-discomfort, which is point 2 on the Enneagram, is in fact real emotion, which is point 7. Or that his random interaction in the world, which is point 2 again, is already the proper pattern or hierarchy of things, which is point 7. Also assuming that simply being his reactive self, which is point 4, is already the ultimate aim and purpose of his life, which is point 8. So under these topsy-turvy conditions, man mistakes involution for evolution, egoism for end purpose, and accident for higher law. So this brings us at the end of this second video in this series of Kundabuffer and centers, and we have looked at the general consequences of the organ Kundabuffer and the reversed perception. So in our next video we'll take a simple practical example, put it on this Enneagram of the centers, and see how the Kundabuffer gives us a completely different result. And for more details about the books that we have published, and also about online programs dealing with theory, practical internal exercises, and Gurdjieff movements explained step by step, you can visit Gurdjieff Online. Or if you are interested only in the movements and sacred dances, you can visit the Gurdjieff Movements, and there you can find different series of complexity explained step by step. All my best.